So we got a PC Gamer interview to talk about, but before we do, I want to talk a little bit about what NetEase is doing over there in China. They are turning their own players into the police of Azeroth. Yes, in a renewed effort to combat cheating with the return of WoW to China, NetEase is running a special event throughout the month of July awarding Battle.net balances to players who report activity that go against the terms of service. So yes, we're talking about boosters. We're talking about, botters. We're talking about gold sellers, all kinds of stuff. Awarding up to $14,000 in Battle.net money if reports lead to legal action. So, I don't know if this will ever come to the United States or any other country, but yes, they are using their own players to police the game, which might be a good thing, honestly. I think it would be a good thing if they did that in Classic or something, rather the Lich King Classic, where this is currently a pretty big issue. But yeah, evidently they've had a big issue with botters in China, believe it or not. Things like, different services that are offered by the company itself. Obviously, the company wants you to come to them to pay for. These people are selling them on the side, right? So things like carry runs for money. We're talking about for cold hard cash. Again, selling gold for cash. Bots, botting the game, gathering gold. Sounds like that's NetEase's initiative rather than a Blizzard one. It is a NetEase initiative, yes. It is a NetEase initiative. They are awarding the Battle.net bonus. This is not something that's being run through Blizzard. But every month they're posting the top reporters. And they're going to be showing, every week they're going to be posting the top reporters. And as of right now, the top reporter is getting a Battle.net balance of $1,288. That's pretty wild. 988 to the second, 688. You can see the numbers right here. So interesting stuff. Additionally, the special bounty of $14,000 has been pledged to anybody who reports something that the company takes legal action on, such as production disruptions and sale of hacks. So this is interesting stuff. Pretty crazy that they're out there, again, using their own players as police. This might be something that Blizzard could take notes on. We know that botting is an issue, and especially I was saying a Wrath of the Lich King Classic. I mean, the bots are everywhere. If you've played it, you've seen them. So this is an interesting one. So there is a snitch list, basically. But again, I don't think anybody's going to be mad at people snitching on bots. I don't think anyone has any love in their hearts for the bots of the game of World of Warcraft. Moving on to some more interesting news. Rebuilding the foundations of World of Warcraft. An interview with PC Gamer. So recently Ian Hazzikostas had an interview with PC Gamer where he talked about, the reflections on World of Warcraft's past and where WoW is heading in the future. So in the recent interview, Ian said, the last few years really have been a time of introspection and re-examination of all the building blocks, the design DNA of WoW. He said, turning over every stone, holding it up to the light and examining it and asking ourselves, this clearly served us well for a long time. Is it still the right thing for players in 2024? And in many cases, the answer is yes. Put the stone back and we continue. In other cases, it's time to rebuild some foundations. And we know we've seen a lot of that, right? Blizzard is doing a lot of rebuilding of foundation work. And I actually said not too long ago that Dragonflight as an expansion felt like a rebuilding of the foundation. There was nothing too crazy about it. The storyline was, it's all right. Not as bad as Shadowlands, but nothing great. But all in all, I felt like it added a lot of foundational pieces.
Let us lay waste
Shay,
to this realm.
Thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge. It added a lot of foundational pieces, like our, the revamping of professions, like the specs, our new specializations, like the new ways of kind of Mythic Plus getting revamped a little bit. We saw that as well. So a lot of different things, obviously dragon riding and stuff. A lot of different foundational pieces were laid in Dragonflight, and I feel like that was really what Blizzard intended. Dragonflight's going to be the new leveling experience for people as they enter the game for the first time. So it's really the foundation now leading into the War Within, and what many consider, including Holly Longdale, to be the third era of Warcraft. That's what they're calling it. They want to see that happen. Now, this is the come to Jesus moment for Blizzard, and we've talked about this before, was when they saw these trends, where after Shadowlands and into Dragonflight, what they expected to happen was a dotted line, and what really happened was a solid line. They didn't see players return in the numbers that they previously had. And that was really a wake-up call for Blizzard, to kind of go back to the drawing board and start listening to feedback, because we all know, the blunders of BFA, Azerite armor, things like that, were because they didn't listen to feedback. But now we see a much different Blizzard. We've seen recently that they are listening to feedback, and Ian actually commented on that in this following quote here. So Ian Hazacostas said, I think it was beginning, but definitely accelerated over the course of the Shadowlands, where the design perspective especially, we had a bit of reckoning, Hazacostas said. We had built systems and leaned on what seemed like time-honored WoW principles, like deep investment in your character and meaningful choices and differentiation. But what we were hearing from players was that's not what they want anymore. I did this one. Why do I have to do this again? I don't want this power to be tied to cosmetic choice. I want them to be separate. So again, listening to player feedback. It was something that they started doing more often. We've seen it. Not too long ago, they released a bunch of Mythic Plus affixes that I personally, made a whole video about. Talked about how trash I thought they were. We talked about them here on the stream. I thought they were absolutely horrible. What did Blizzard do? They got that feedback from a lot of people. They took it, threw it away, and made 3 new affixes. The new ones that we're getting to now, the Harbinger ones. Those are completely new affixes. They got rid of the old ones. Why? Because they got feedback saying, dude, don't do this. These things suck. We don't want to see these implemented in the game. Blizzard took them, deleted them, took the feedback, and that's a big change from things we saw in the past because, as I said before, they used to get feedback in beta, and they would just take it and say, we know better than you, don't worry about it, it's still going in the game. Ian Hazacostas, again, went on to say, that kind of began the process of us asking ourselves, these were lessons that were instilled in us by our forebears as designers of the team, as developers of the team, but are we going to blindly cling to them? Or are we going to face that reality that players have changed? The way people approach WoW has changed, and it is our duty as the caretakers of the world not to stubbornly cling to our original vision, but to evolve and meet them where they are and to ensure that Azeroth remains a place they want it to be. So again, looking back at how things were, how things had been done over the years, and just deciding, maybe things like AP grinds are not something we want. Maybe we do need cross, account things like what's coming in warbands with transmog, with currencies. We, not having to do the same quests over and over for your different alts. These are all quality of life improvements that the community had been asking for a long time. And the ancient design philosophies of WoW kind of went against them. They always told us, no, this isn't what we want. This isn't what we want to do. In reality, it was just about listening to the players. And it seems like all of these things, including the numbers from Shadowlands and everything else, kind of brought the community and the developers closer together. And that now they are listening to each other, bouncing feedback off each other. And that's why I think The War Within could be a very promising expansion. Bring back Borrowed Power? Oh my god, why? Borrowed Power. I mean, Borrowed Power was fun, it had its pluses, but certainly it always made the end of the expansion into the next one just feel shitty. Like the system that you put all this time in just kind of went away. So I'm good with that, not having Borrowed Power. Sounds like the Jailer is coming back. Tidewell, if that's what you got out of this, the future surely is bleak. That's very sad. Just a final comment here. We all know that Dalaran's going to crash to the ground. There's going to be a big event. And people have been talking about, what's going to happen to the characters of Dalaran. Recently, some of them have been popping up in Dornegal, the new hub city that we're going to be in. Just some fun little things here. A little bit of Valyria Sanguinar showing up. Some others, including Millhouse Manastorm, Bartender Bob. Different characters that were part of the Rogue Order Hall, which was in Dalaran, in the sewers, right? They're starting to show up. So we're going to see some interesting things coming out as we go into the expansion here. Who survives the crash? Who doesn't? What's the fallout from it? Some really cool stuff coming up. This crash, I believe, is going to be part of the expansion launch and not part of the pre-patch. So we won't know what's going to happen just yet, but exciting stuff around the corner. Interesting stuff coming. Hey, the hype is real. The War Within is coming.